What's going on, everybody? Cleepus Tech here, coming back at you with another video. In this video, I'm going to be giving you some tips and tricks for the TCL 30XL that you might not know about. Now before we go any further, as always, I do want to remind you to go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and if you want to learn more about this phone, I will be linking to several other videos about it in the description, as well as some information about pricing, availability, and my favorite accessories for it. But with all that being said, let's get into it. So the first thing I'm going to show you is how to get the battery percentage on the status bar. So as you can see right now, we don't currently have it up there. This is the default setting, so when you get this phone, you're not going to see the battery percentage on the status bar. And in addition to this, you're not going to be able to see it by pulling down the shade either, which usually you are with most phones nowadays, but for whatever reason on this phone, that trick is not going to work. So let me show you how to actually get the battery percentage up here. So the first thing you're going to do is go to settings. From here, go to smart manager. So right here, from this menu, go to battery. From here, go to battery detail. And as you can see, battery percentage is right here. And again, by default, it's not going to be showing, but if you want, you can have it either inside the battery icon, which basically looks like this, or you can have it next to the battery icon, which is pretty much the default for most phones. And in case you're wondering, once you do enable the battery percentage, you can actually see it by pulling down the shade as well. The next thing I'm going to show you is a quick way to open your camera app. Now, if you're on the home screen, opening the camera is easy enough, but if you're doing something else on your phone and you want to capture something quickly in the moment, this shortcut is going to make it a lot more convenient. So no matter what you're doing on your phone, all you need to do to open your camera is simply double press the power key like this, and it's going to open right up. So let's try that one more time. And there we go. The next thing I'm going to show you is an alternate way to take a screenshot. Now in case you don't know, taking a screenshot is pretty easy already. All you got to do is press the power key and the volume down key at the same time like this. And that's pretty much it. But what you can also do is put 3 fingers on the screen like this and swipe down. And that's going to do the same thing. Now, does it really make screenshots easier? Screenshots are already really easy, so it's not really that much of a difference. But all the same, it's definitely nice to have 2 ways to do it. The next thing I'm going to show you is a feature called adaptive brightness. This feature is essentially going to automatically adjust the brightness of your display based on your environment. So if you're outside in the sun, for example, it's going to brighten up to make it easier to see. But if you're in a darker area, you're probably not going to need it to be as bright. So in that case, it's going to automatically dim to adjust to your environment. This is a nice feature to have because while having your display at 100% brightness at all times can be nice, adaptive brightness can help you save battery and make the display a little bit easier on your eyes while still keeping the display itself easy to see. So to get to adaptive brightness, it's real simple. All you got to do is go to settings. From here, go to display. And adaptive brightness is right here at the top. Toggle it on, and as you can see, it adjusts right away. The next thing I'm going to show you is how to create a screen recording with the TCL 30XL. Now this is definitely one of the more basic features, but for whatever reason, there is a surprising number of phones in this price range that don't have it. I don't really know why, because a screen recording is basically just a moving screenshot, so you would think every phone in existence would have it nowadays. But luckily, the TCL 30XL can easily create screen recordings, so let me show you how to do it. So what you're going to do is pull down the shade twice like this, scroll to the next page, go to screen recorder. There's going to be a little countdown. And now the screen is automatically going to be recording. So you can do whatever, and when you're done, hit the stop button, and it's going to be saved right to your photos. Now one kind of weird thing about screen recordings with this phone is they start kind of abruptly, kind of like iPhones do. You basically hit the button and the countdown automatically starts, whereas with a lot of other Android phones, you get some options you can customize before actually starting the screen recording. But luckily with this phone, although we don't get those options every time we make a screen recording, they still can be customized. So if you're making a screen recording, but you want to customize some settings like the sound or the video resolution, for example, what you're going to do is go to settings. From here, go to advanced features. From this menu, go to screen recorder. And as you can see, we do have a few options here. So for video resolution, by default, it's going to be 720p, which makes sense because that is the resolution of the display. You can also change it to 480p. In addition to this, we got the sound. So by default, it is going to record the mic. So basically, if you want to narrate something, you can also change it to system. So if you're recording a video, for example, it's going to record the audio of whatever's playing on the phone, or you can completely mute it. And then finally, by default, it's going to show touch interactions. So whenever you touch the screen, a little cursor is going to show up wherever you're touching. But if you want, you can also turn this off. So not really a ton of options compared to other phones, but at least we do have the basics here. The next thing I'm going to show you is a feature called double tap to wake. So by default, this feature is not going to be on. So if you lock the display, as you can see, nothing's happening. But if you want, you can go to settings. From here, go to buttons and gestures. From this menu, go to gestures. And double tap to wake is going to be right here if you toggle it on. Now when the display is locked, all you got to do to wake it is simply double tap like this. So definitely not a life-changing feature or anything, but I know it is enabled by default on a lot of phones. So if you're coming from another phone and you're used to being able to wake it up by double tapping the screen, and you're wondering why it's not working, again, the feature is here, you just have to manually enable it. The next thing I'm going to show you is a feature called One-Handed Mode. In case you don't know what it is, One-Handed Mode is basically going to shrink down the display and make it a lot easier to use with one hand. Now a lot of phones, in fact most of them for that matter, have a bunch of unnecessarily complicated gestures to activate this feature, but with the TCL 30XL, to get into One-Handed Mode, all you have to do is pull down the shade twice, go to the second page, and One-Handed Mode is simply right here. So definitely a lot easier and more convenient than a lot of other phones out there. And once you're in One-Handed Mode, as you can see, it's a lot easier to use the phone with one hand. You can also switch sides. And if you press and hold on the outer corner like this, you can also resize it as well. And then once you're done with One-Handed Mode, tap anywhere in the outer area, and it's going to go right back to normal. The next thing I'm going to show you is how to use the power button to end a call. Now this is a pretty basic feature that I didn't realize so many people like to use. And for whatever reason, on a lot of phones, it's not active by default, and the TCL 30XL is one of them, so let me show you how to get to it. So what we're going to do is go to Settings. From here, go to Accessibility. From the main accessibility menu, go to System Controls. And right here, as you can see, power button ends call is off by default, but if you want, you can turn it on, and now whenever you're on a call, all you have to do to end it is simply press the power button. The next thing I'm going to show you is how to edit the quick menu. Now the quick menu, I'm not sure if that's actually what it's officially called, but what I mean is basically this little menu that shows up when you pull down the shade. And as you can see, there are a lot of features on here, and I feel like most people are probably not going to use every single one of them. So I'm going to show you how to simplify it, get rid of some stuff, or maybe if you want, you can add some stuff too. So when you're in this menu, which again, in case you missed it, to get there from the home screen or wherever you are on the phone, simply pull down the shade like this. One more time. And here we are. So basically, to edit this menu, hit this little icon right here. And this is basically going to show you what you have in the menu. And then at the very bottom, it's going to show what you can add. And as you can see, by default, pretty much every feature is in this menu. And again, I feel like for most people, you're probably not going to need every single one of them. So if you want to remove something, press and hold on it like this, and simply drag it off. And as you can see, that's going to take it out of the menu. And if you want to add something, same kind of thing, press and hold, drag it to the other side, and that's going to add it in. If you completely mess it up, you can also hit the reset button, and that's going to change it back to the default settings. When you're done editing it, there's no done button or anything. All you got to do is hit the back button, and your changes are automatically going to save. The last thing I'm going to show you is a feature called the App Cloner. What this feature does is allows you to make a copy of an app that you might have multiple accounts for, like Snapchat or Instagram for example, and that way you can log into 2 accounts at once. It's pretty similar to Samsung's Dual Messenger, except I feel like this version is actually compatible with more apps. And while in 2022 it's not the most useful thing in the world, because with things like Instagram for example, they already make it pretty easy to have multiple accounts, but still with stuff like Snapchat, it definitely can come in handy. So to get to this feature, what you're going to do is go to Settings. From here, go to Advanced Features. And from this menu, go to App Cloner. And as you can see, it's basically just going to show you everything it's compatible with, and for whichever apps you want a copy of, simply toggle it on, and it's going to make a copy, making it a lot easier to use multiple accounts at once. But this concludes my tips and tricks video for the TCL 30XL. Again, if you want to learn more about this phone, I will be linking to several other videos about it in the description, as well as some information about pricing, availability, and my favorite accessories for it, so definitely check that out if you're interested. But that's it for this video. If you enjoyed it and found it useful, be sure to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to follow Khalipa's Tech on Twitter and Instagram, and as always, I will see you in the next video.